Hey, it's Marthea Pitts, the MSW coach. Let me pin a comment. Um, if you're watching the replay, just skip ahead a few seconds. I'm pinning a comment. And what I want to ask is, what do you like to do in your free time? Hey, as you come in the room, drop it in chat and tell me where you're logging in from. I want to ask the question, what do you like to do in your free time? Actually, drop that in the chat. I'm pinning a comment. That's why you see the top of my head. Instagram doesn't let you do it ahead of time. I want to know, what do you like to do in your free time? And the reason being is because one of the ways that I help social workers pivot into aligned macro jobs is by looking at what they like to do in their free time to figure out creative ways to blend that into their new career, right? So typically how people go about approaching jobs is looking at whatever is available and taking the first job offer that is given. However, what I did in my own career, and I've since then helped hundreds, dozens of other social workers doing theirs, is we look at what you like to do in your free time and find creative ways to blend that in. Right? And what it does over time is increase your job satisfaction rates, because social workers' job satisfaction rates, like in typical case management jobs, are really low. What I mean by that is we have people who are natural creatives, people who are artsy, people who enjoy different things, doing work where they don't get any opportunity to express that. So I created a framework for my own career, and now I use it in others' careers, where I look at what you like to do in your free time to figure out how we can blend that into your new macro job. So for a lot of my coaching clients, they love to travel. They love to curate cultural experiences, either through like food, through travel, through like going to community events, things like that. And so I'm always like, whatever, we could blend that into your job, because what I know to be true at this point, having worked with hundreds of people in their career, not just social workers, is the thing that you do in your free time usually is what you should be doing in your job. And the only reason you're doing it in your free time is because you're trying to create an experience for yourself to do more of the thing, when you really should be doing it in your 9 to 5, and then in your free time you should just be enjoying being a human. So I just ended an onboarding call with a new micro to macro career accelerator participant that's just joined the accelerator earlier this week. And so we were going through my framework, which is called the 3 Ps framework, and I was looking at her outside passions. And so her outside passions are all things that are centered around investigative work, right? So what this looks like for her is that she is usually always the go-to person in her family and friend group when people need an advocate around like justice system issues. She loves to like do ancestry searches and like research on her family and friends, things like that. Very investigative in nature. So the 3 Ps framework, the 3 Ps stand for passion, purpose, population, and issue. This is the framework that I created. I didn't hear this from anyone. I didn't read it in a book. I created it to pivot out of case management into an aligned macro job. So when it comes to passion, I look at what you like to do, and it then helps me understand what your day-to-day work should look like in your job, which is the purpose. Right? We're not talking about purpose of life, like what you should be doing for your life as a whole. It's purpose as far as like, what do you want your day-to-day work to look like? So in her passion, she's telling me like she enjoys investigative things in nature. So when I get to the second P of purpose, my question then, one of the questions is around, out of all the things that you've ever enjoyed doing in your past work life, be it paid or unpaid, volunteer, or different, like maybe something you did in high school as a candy striper, was there ever one task that you enjoyed and you're like, I wish I could do more of that? And so what we found in purpose was that she enjoyed investigative work. Like as a medical social worker, she said that she enjoyed doing the investigative piece to find hard to find resources for patients among, like, when they were getting ready to transition out of care. This is how the 3 Ps framework works, right? What I said earlier, what you do in your free time is really what you should be doing in your career. So when we got to purpose, I'm like, it all made sense because you just told me in passion that you love doing this in your free time. So I wanted to come on and talk, and that's just part of the framework. But I wanted to come on to talk about wanting to see, really. And if you're just joining, drop in the chat, tell me what you enjoy doing in your free time. Like, it's not uncommon for my coaching clients to be like, I enjoy reading, right? So when you say I enjoy reading, that's a very broad thing, right? So how I use my framework is to narrow down, to really investigate what parts of reading do you enjoy. Right? So I'm asking about what genres are you reading? What types of books are you reading? Who are the authors? Are there any running themes in the subjects that you're reading? So for some of my coaching clients, it may be that they are history buffs. So then I want to know more. Tell me, what period of history are you reading about, right? So it's not uncommon. Well, I actually had one coaching client, when I asked her that question, she was like, she liked to read a lot around about like the Jim Crow era and what was going on in that time and the things that that was happening, right? And it was to educate herself, one, but two, because at the root of it, she wants to do large scale advocacy around racial justice issues. So I bring the question to you all, especially if you are in a place where you want to like really move into more alignment, where you can get a job where it doesn't feel like it's the worst thing ever, where you wake up in a cycle of dread every morning, hating that the sun came up. I challenge you to start looking at the things that you like to do in your personal life and start to find creative ways to blend it into your career choices. And so this is just a snapshot of my 3 Ps framework. I go into it much deeper with people inside, with my coaching clients inside of the Micro to Macro Career Accelerator. But I ask you, what do you like to do in your free time? Start brainstorming. Really start identifying. Another thing is, and I just thought of another example, another thing that I see common for social workers is that in their free time, they love volunteering. Y'all love a good volunteer assignment, right? So how I would use the 3 Ps framework is to look at like, what is the through line between all of the types of things that you volunteer for? So for some people, it may be that you always tend to volunteer for anything that's connected to women and girls type issues. But you may be a medical social worker where you work with the aging population. If you find yourself volunteering or always signing up to be a part of the thing when it's regarding women and girls, that's a sign that you need to be in a job where you're touching women and girls issues. Right? The 3 Ps framework never fails. It's tried, true, and tested at this point. I've been using it for the last almost 6 years. So another example that I see for a lot of social workers is in their free time, they love to spend time like researching different topics. If you see yourself always gravitating towards a certain type of topic, I challenge you to figure out, one, what is the through line? What is the commonality? What is the running theme in this topic that you're researching? And then how the 3 Ps framework works is that you then need to get you in an aligned place in your career. You need to be finding creative ways to blend that into the work that you do. So if the topic that you're always researching is around, I'm going to pull an example from the free career planning session that I had on Sunday. Someone was like, they're really interested in working on cures around Alzheimer's. Like if they had a magical wand, that's the issue that they want to address in the world. So for that person, I'm sure it looks like in their free time, they're always researching topics around Alzheimer's and what's going on in the landscape. So in order to get into an aligned position, they need to not be working as a school social worker. They need to be looking for job opportunities with organizations that's touching Alzheimer's issues or issues that impact the aging population or memory loss. So how my coaching clients really getting, like if you've ever listened to an interview where I'm talking to my coaching clients who have landed macro jobs, they all tell you, regardless of when they started their job, that they love their macro job. And it's because we have strategically blended in their external, what they thought were their outside passions, into their career, which then allows them, and this is how their personal and their professional lives improve drastically, because now they're taking the thing that they really want to do in their career and they're doing it in their career. So then it allows them time to really develop into a whole person outside of their career. So they travel internationally. My coaching clients travel internationally regularly. They bake in their free time. They cook in their free time. They do arts. They curate cultural experiences for their friends and their families, because now they get an opportunity to really just be a human and not do work stuff off the clock, because they're getting that fulfillment in their career. So if you are a person where you spend your time doing work-like activities and you're not at work and you think it's fun, like it's not uncommon for social workers to find me and be like, I be like, what do you like to do outside of work? I love to research resources. That's not what you like to do. You're doing it because you really probably want more of that to do, or you're probably doing it because you're being overworked at work. And so now you're doing it in your free time. So I encourage you to start in your personal life. What are the things that you like to do? Another thing that's common for social workers is y'all love to watch those crime shows. I don't watch TV, so I don't even know a lot about them. But you all love to watch those crime shows. And so what I find there is that whole investigative piece, right? You love, like one of my new micro to macro career accelerated coaching clients, she loves to watch the crime shows in her free time. And what I figured out through the 3 P's framework is the reason that she enjoys watching them is because of her case management job. When she became so burnt out, she had to shift away from her real passion, which is reading in her free time, because she didn't have the mental capacity, the bandwidth, the energy to focus on reading. So it shifted to a seemingly mindless activity of watching TV, which the running theme in the TV shows are investigative in nature, because when she used to read books, those were the types of genres that she read. And deeper than that, she started reading books because she wanted to be an author. She wanted to be a writer. But she didn't. People told her when she was little she couldn't be a writer. So from the dream of being a writer, it morphed into being an avid reader. And when her job became too much and would not give her the capacity to continue to read, it then morphed into her enjoying these investigative shows. And I was so able to drill all of this down through the framework that I've created. And so now the plan is to get her in a job, her purpose, the 2nd P, get her in a job where she has an opportunity to write on a daily basis. Right? And it can be creative or it can be scholarly. She just enjoys writing. But it got watered down from society telling her she couldn't do the thing, from her not having energy to focus on the thing because she was in a case management job. And so this is how I use the 3 P's framework to really look at what is it that you do in your free time that we can blend into your career. I had another coaching client in her free time. She was really intrigued with what her district, because she lived in a district, not a city, what her district was doing regarding youth and getting them into youth development enrichment activities. So she spent large amounts of her time watching the news, reading articles, and following what the mayor was doing in that district regarding youth. And I said, why are you doing that? Again, using the 3 Ps framework. This is what she did in her free time for what she thought was fun. And so using the 3 Ps framework and looking at her purpose and her passion together, I was like, you really want to work with youth. You really want to work with youth. And I think she's like a medical social worker or something like that. I said, you're spending all of your time following this issue because that's really what you want to do in your career, right? And so I strategized with her and gave her ideas of what types of jobs she should target, where she can get those experiences. And then looking at the purpose, how she wanted her day-to-day work, what we figured out through the framework is that what she really wanted to do was to curate comfortable spaces for youth who maybe were in foster care system involved, justice impacted, LGBTQIA plus. She really wanted to create warm, welcoming environments for them. And the reason she was following her district so closely, the political leadership as to what they were doing, because there was a rampant issue regarding youth in her city, was because she was watching and she was always thinking like, well, all they need to do is create a community center and have some activities and welcome the youth in and make certain that they are fostering a community of belonging. She didn't verbalize this. This is what I got out of her with using my framework. This is why she was always intrigued with the conversations the district was having regarding youth. And then when I looked at her purpose, how she wanted her day-to-day work to look like, and I asked her the question around, what is one thing that you've done in your work history that you really, really enjoyed most? She went back 10 to almost 15 years ago where she was a member in AmeriCorps for one term. And then I asked, what did you do in AmeriCorps? And in AmeriCorps, one small piece of her duty was the fact that she was responsible for curating a comfortable environment for the students to be able to come in and engage in the services that her AmeriCorps team was getting. So what that looked like was she went out and had to purchase sofas and make certain that there were drinks and snacks available, make certain that there was staff there that could really meet the diverse needs of the students. It was more around the physical environment. She was a part of the welcome committee and team that welcomed the youth in so they could come feel like it was their space, belonging. I was like, that's what you're supposed to be doing in your career, not medical social work. And that's why you dread going to work, because you are not doing any of that. So the 3 Ps framework that I created really works. And that's what I was just telling my new client. I was like, by the time we got to purpose, I was like, oh, this is what you're supposed to be doing. I said, you see how quick the framework works? But I wanted to come on and ask you, what do you enjoy doing in your free time? And you need to, I strongly encourage you, start looking at what you do in your free time, find the running themes in that, and start finding creative ways to blend it into your career. Okay? So I have given you many examples. I wanted to come on and talk about the things that you enjoy in free time really is probably what you want to be doing in your career. And you can. Let me end it with that. And you can. Many people think that you cannot blend you cannot have a career that you enjoy. You can. Many people believe the narrative that you can't blend the things that you love into your career. You can. A lot of people are running around in a career because someone told them when they were little that they couldn't do something. My approach is you can. It just may look a little bit different. Maybe when you were little, you wanted to be a singer. Maybe you don't sing that great now. But as an alternative approach, maybe you can take this different route and still get connected to the music industry. Somebody was on a social worker was on my free career action planning session that I had on Sunday. And she says that she provides therapeutic support to musicians. Wow, that's a great way to blend in, because she has a love for entertainment. Right? So there's always a way. Of course, I'm not clinical, but I just wanted to use that as an example. So, but usually your earlier experiences in your life is what you really want to be doing. You just don't think it's possible. The world told you the thing. Maybe you didn't know how to find jobs doing that. Maybe you thought it was a complicated process, and it's not. Right? And so I encourage you to give thought to what are the things you're doing in your free time. And believe it or not, when you start doing that in your 9 to 5, it frees up for you to become a completely different person in your personal life, because then you can really just start enjoying life. You don't have to be doing work-like activities in your free time. You can just enjoy being a human. My people are in Greece, they're in Rome, they're in Italy every weekend enjoying life, because the framework, the 3 P's framework, has now freed up their desire, their need to feel like I need to be volunteering, I need to be doing work-like activity. They get their fulfillment in their 9 to 5, and then they're free to live the rest of their life. Okay, so if you want to learn how you are already qualified to get a macro social work job, I'm having a webinar next Sunday, October 13th. It's $25. I'm going to be teaching you the top 5 transferable experiences that you already have that make you qualified for macro social work jobs. People typically are used to the conversation around transferable skills. That's not what gets you a macro job. What gets you macro jobs are transferable experiences. So in this webinar, I'm going to be breaking down the top 5 transferable experiences that every social worker has, regardless of where you work, licensed, unlicensed, clinical, non-clinical, regardless of the setting you work in. I'm going to be breaking them down. I'm going to be comparing and contrasting them with actual job posts so you can see on paper what makes you qualified. Candace, I see you sending me a request. Do you want to come on? Drop in the chat and tell me what you want to do. But attend the webinar. It's only $25. It's going to be 2 hours. I've never talked about these transferable experiences out loud. Only the people inside of the Micro to Macro Career Accelerator get access to the exhaustive list, because there's well over 20 of them. But I'm going to be breaking down the top 5. Knowing this, coming to this webinar will teach you how to identify where you already do these things in your career. So it then helps you understand how you're already qualified, that you don't need another degree, you don't need another license, you don't need 10 more years of experience. And the link to purchase a ticket is in the bio. It also helps you better understand how to verbalize to macro employers what you do, where you've worked, what type of experience you have. It helps you be able to determine if you're qualified for a macro social work job. It helps you better be able to write your macro resume. It helps you better be able to master macro interviews and continue to progress up the ladder. So what I'm sharing in this webinar is game changer. It's a game changer. It's the piece that you were missing. So the tickets are for sale in the bio. Grab you a ticket. It's only $25. It's less than 2 cups of Starbucks coffee. And it's going to be next Sunday. And then I'm going to actually have one of my coaching clients who just started her new macro job this week with an organization in Washington, D.C., a macro organization. And she's going to talk about the paradigm shift she experienced once she learned how to identify these experiences in her day-to-day work as a medical social worker, and how she took that knowledge and then used it to find aligned jobs that she really wanted to do around value-based care, and how she aced the interview and was a top competitor for it, and how she had multiple other interviews from Fortune 500 companies. So it's going to be a great session. The link is in the bio. Purchase your ticket. I'll see you next time. Candace didn't ever come on and tell me, but I'm just going to take it as you didn't want to come on. Happy macro career planning. Bye.